Hello everybody, this is the Wikstrand, and unfortunately this is not a movie about the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. No, this is instead a romantic comedy that is a remake of an early 1970s movie that itself is based on a play. Okay, fine I guess. Clocking in at almost 2 hours. Oh shit. Oh god. So the Farley brothers have done a couple of movies I like, and most of the time they're able to craft movies with characters that you sort of like and sort of support, despite them having serious flaws and stuff like that. They were able to balance their juvenile stuff with more serious things, and it still sort of worked. Not this time entirely. This is not a very good romantic comedy. It has some serious flaws to it. Let's find out what those are, shall we? And it's not just the very bloated runtime. This is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels! Not Shawn Michaels. Stiller plays Eddie. He owns some sporting goods departments in San Francisco, and he is very single. The reason for this is that he was left at the altar by his bride-to-be some time ago, and this has made him not actively seeking relationships, which is totally understandable. That is however about to change because he meets Lila, played by Malin Åkerman, under dramatic circumstances, which also includes purse snatching. And they start dating, and he thinks that this is the woman, I'm going to marry her. And he's being a bit pressured, from Doc, his dad, his actual dad, Jerry Stiller, and also, from best friend who is enjoying a very good marriage at the moment. And after just, 5-6 weeks of dating, he just pops the question and they get married. And they head off for some, honeymoon stuff. And then he discovers that she's an absolute train wreck. He basically finds out that she has almost no redeeming qualities or good characteristics about her, and also that they really don't have anything in common. So he starts to regret the whole marriage thing. He also finds out that she's a devil in the sack, which is something he doesn't really, go with really well. Because if you're looking at this man, does this look like the kind of man who is a devil in the sack? He's more of a lazy kitten in the sack or something like that. Anyway, so he is miserable at this resort in Mexico. What happens? He meets Miranda. Miranda, played by Michelle Monaghan. They meet accidentally, and they hit it off. And he discovers that she is everything he always wanted, but he's also married and also at his own honeymoon. And he tries to find excuses to, spend time with her instead of Malin Åkerman. This proves to be not that big of an issue because, Malin Åkerman is basically tied to the bed because she has been very badly sunburned and lies there and mostly complains all the time. That is essentially the story of the Heartbreak Kid. A man discovering that his wife is horrible and is going to divorce her and try to find a new wife. But he's also caught in a web of lies, him telling her things about that he is not married and stuff like that. And will he be able to keep up this charade? And what's going to happen when, the lie is revealed and stuff like that? We shall see. Now, one thing this movie did that annoyed the hell out of me right from the get-go was the fact that so they have been dating for 5 or 6 weeks before he, asked her to marry him. And there was no issues at all during these 5-6 weeks. He discovers that she's just a terrible person in 1 or maybe 2 days. Why? Why couldn't you just let, a few things here and there? Says, did you, by the way, know that she's, this and that? And he would say, well, it's just a minor thing. And the minor things would build and build and build and build and build. And then you would slowly discover how awful she was. This felt very rushed. But if they would have done that, they would have bloated the runtime of this movie even more. And you know what I think about romantic comedies that are too long. The jokes are predictable, they're lame and they're lazy, and it is slow and it is predictable, and I didn't really enjoy any of the characters. Malin Åkerman does her best with this character, but she's so one-dimensional and she gets so unlikable, which makes it almost impossible for us to have any form of sympathy for her whatsoever. I really like Ben Stiller, but he can sometimes be so typecasted in this, straight man roles that it is impossible really to find anything new about him. He does the same things over and over again. And if he's put in a good movie, then it is good. But here he is struggling. And some of the, more juvenile jokes that they do, they fall very flat. And, the misunderstanding things they try to do didn't work that well either. And after all of that, and after all of that misery that we went through to come to the ending of this thing, they presented us with the ending, which was a very, very frustrating ending for me. I hated that ending. I hated that ending so much. The Heartbreak Kid is a mostly harmless movie with some decent comedy here and there, but it is too stretched out, and Ben Stiller has zero chemistry with basically everybody he shares the screen with in this movie. But maybe that is his thing, maybe, to have bad chemistry with everybody. I don't know, but in this case it didn't work either with Monahan or Åkerman. Do I think this movie is awful? No. Do I think this movie is a too long romantic comedy relying on star power and lame jokes? Yes. It's not bad, but once you come to that ending, you think to yourself, come on, Jesus Christ. I will say that I am a little curious of the original, but I cannot give The Heartbreak Kid anything more than 40 points, with some comedy that worked, but mostly with things that did not work, and the infuriating ending just took the wind out of our sails for me. But I guess it could have been worse, and Ben Stiller is really funny from time to time, even in this movie. So I'll see you next time for more so-and-so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.